All right. There we go.
Okay,
All
let's get
right.
ready.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience today, and welcome back to the second week of Tech Bytes, the Python session. As always, we're hoping that you guys are doing well and ready to learn some cool stuff and get coding. So let's start off. So before we start, quick introduction. As from last week, I'm Rayan Siddiqui. I'm a rising junior at James B. Conant High School. I love to code. I've made more than 6 iOS applications for the App Store, made a dozen more websites, and I love making content on YouTube. I run a sports talk show with my friends, along with another computer science channel I got where I explain some topics, such as in computer science. And if you want to learn more about me, check me out on my website at rayansiddiqui.com. And now, my partner, Andrew.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Rhea. I am soon to be freshman at Purdue University. Like Rayan, I'm also very enthusiastic about coding. I know like several languages, particularly within those languages, I like to specialize in computer graphics. I'm a bit of a computer graphics enthusiast, so things like lighting calculations. I'm a hobbyist illustrator, so I like drawing on the side. And if you want to know some of the projects I've made several just like Rayan. Uh, my website is at edgetroy.info if you happen to want to know. So yeah, next slide.
All right. So, and just we have, if we haven't made clear, Andrew and I are the 2 teen tech mentors at the Schaumburg Library from last week, and it seems like that we got some new people. So, just so you guys are in the loop, welcome. All right. So, the first order of business from last week, if you have not already joined the Google Classroom, we would like you guys to join the Google Classroom. It's super easy to join. If you have a Google account or your parents, feel free to use that account and enter the code right here to join. This is where we're posting the daily recaps of what we're doing each week. We're posting our answers to the code, and we're communicating with you guys like we did today. And so if you want to stay in the loop, we would highly recommend that you please join that Google Classroom. And the code should also be provided in the link, which is sent out every week. All right. And as we go through this presentation, guys, just remember to feel free to write a question or a comment, whatever, in the chat section, and Andrew and I will get back to you as soon as possible. All right. So,
All right, so for our agenda today, today we'll be doing a bit of a fun activity. To start off, this number 2, we're going to share some past week's code. You know, this is kind of what we at Redima and Sharyam talked about last week's homework. We're gonna talk about like those answers to those questions. Number 3 and number 4, that's going to be more so today. We're going to talk about some terminology, some specific things like variables. We'll get into that. And based on that knowledge you're going to learn today, we're going to do some coding with blocks and apply the knowledge you'll learn today in a very easy to use manner.
Yep. All right. So today we want to start off with an activity and get our brains sort of rolling, if you know what I mean. And that activity is we want to interact with you guys and ask you guys a question. So why do you guys think that being specific to a computer matters? And I would give you guys a hint in saying that think about why does it matter to be specific when giving instructions or other things to other people? Can you relate that to why you might think being specific to a computer matters? Feel free to write in the chat your ideas, and we'll be discussing them.
And of course, no pressure if you don't feel like you want to tell your thoughts.
Yep.
Totally free environment.
Yep.
All right, so I guess some people are a little confused on like what that means specific to.
Oh, there we go. Right. 2 questions. So
All right.
we got our first response from Sadan. Thanks, Sadan, for sharing your thoughts. And he says, I think it's so that other person and other people understand more and know more and more. So definitely, man, that's a good starting point. And one of the core foundations of computer science and encoding, being specific to a computer matters because you want the computer to understand what you're seeing and not do another operation. Andrew, you want to discuss Sharia's comment?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got an email from Joe.
Oh,
Yeah, let me get it out. The
everything good?
chat. Okay, yeah. So, it might read the code differently and give a different response. Okay, so okay, I'm just gonna like Redeema. You can Rayon, you're gonna like read Redeema's after this, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so yeah, sure. Very, very accurate. So when you give code to the computer, it will always do something different, no matter how small that detail might be. And you always got to be make sure about those specifics because it's sort of like the butterfly effect, if you ever heard of that. Sometimes when you deliver like just slightly different code, it sort of like cascades into these like different effects later on that has these like incredible consequences that you never saw. So yeah, the best way I can put it is, if you actually had a person and you gave him instructions and you tell them, okay, go down the street and take a left, and you accidentally tell them to go take a right on the first direction, on those like series of directions, so like take a left, take a right, forward, back. If you tell them the first time with a direction, they kind of branch off into their own different path, if that makes sense. It's like a maze. You got to be very specific with your orders.
Yep. All right, and lastly, we got Ridimo, who is saying that otherwise the computer will not know exactly what you want it to do. So definitely, that's adding on to what Andrew and I were explaining. You got to be specific to get your point across. And like the analogy Andrew made, think about it like you're like drawing a picture, right? And say your sibling is telling you how to draw that picture. Now, if your sibling says, hey, just draw a circle anywhere and color it in, that's not being that specific. But if your sibling tells you, draw a circle in the middle of the page, make it about an arm's length long circle with the radius of your arm's length. Now that's being specific and telling you the specifics about where to place that circle and how to draw it. And that's very important once we start discussing more and more about coding, and that order really matters. And we'll be guiding you through an activity more on that later on today. So let's move on.
All right, just want to take this moment to thank all the responses. We know that it's a very public area, so nice to see people having some courage there. All right, so you want to see the slide or?
Yep, so you go ahead.
Okay, so lessons to be learned. Being specific to computer matters a lot. By being specific, we can tell the computer to do things how we would like.
Yeah, and we have an activity, as aforementioned, that we're going to be doing more to understand what this actually means. And let's move on. All right, so we want to, for those who were here last week, including Ridima, Sharia, and some other people, we want to ask you guys, feel free to comment in the chat below. Did you guys get anything done? Did you guys do anything interesting with the Python website? Not the JavaScript one, not the Maze one, but the Python one we shared with you guys last week? Anything cool? Anything you just want to share? Like, did you have fun with it? Any general thoughts?
If not, you can at least like tell if it was difficult for you or if you had trouble with something. That's also very important.
Yep. And we just want you guys to keep in mind that last week was just a week for you guys to play around and get to know some stuff. And today we're going to be learning some more. Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right. So not really, but explore it a little. All right.
That's all we can.
We don't expect anything large. Like we don't expect you to like play around with it for an hour. Just like get comfortable,
exactly.
with the interface.
Project or anything right now. Yeah. All right, cool. So thanks very much for sharing. That's good that you explored a little, and we're going to be deep diving into this over the next couple of weeks and even today. All right. So we want you guys to open the website of the Python block coding, which we showed last week. And remember to hit the Python 3 option. That is the latest that is the latest Python version. So please be sure to open that website just like I have right here. So be sure to hit the Python 3 option and get into the portal. All right, and while you guys are opening that, Andrew and I are going to start discussing some terms
Yeah.
and relating that to the actual block coding and teaching you guys some terminology so that you guys can understand what are those blocks actually representing and
Yeah,
much
so
more.
these are like higher level concepts if you want to think of it that way.
Yep. All right. So first, we're gonna while you guys are opening the website, we would like you guys to focus back here, and we're gonna talk about some terms, and then we'll go to the actual website of block coding and show you what they mean. So today's main term are variables. Andrew, you want to start off?
Actually, I think you made this slide. You should probably like start off with this one.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay. So, what are variables? Now, variables are something very core to coding and computer science because they hold values. And as an analogy, think about it in a way like you have a box, right? And you fill a box with different items. So like you're moving, right? You fill it with your different items in your room. And just like you are storing different items into that box, we store data into variables. Now, there is a bunch of different data which can be stored into variables. Like take, for example, different numbers. Like say you're doing a division problem, like 40 divided by 5.5. You can store the answer to that division problem into a variable. And besides numbers, which you can store into variables, there's a lot of other values, like strings, which are like your name. So like say my name is Rayan. I can store my name Rayan in quotation marks into a variable. And that variable holds my value and my name essentially. And not to get too much in depth now, but with variables, I believe Andrew will jump into this a bit more, but with variables, you can change the values of those variables throughout your project to meet certain conditions, to execute certain commands, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But that's the basic idea, which I want you guys to keep in mind for today, that variables hold different values. And Andrew will explain some examples. Andrew?
Yes. So examples. So I'm just gonna go over what Rayan said of the different uses of variables. For instance, we use variables to model objects and ideas. So let's say that you wanted to make an app to record like fitness, like your typical like workout and like dieting. Well, you need to find a way to represent maybe the distance you walked in a certain workout routine. And to do this, computers will store the distance you walked as a variable. That's a very specific example of how we're representing something in the real world, in the computer world, as a number. We also do it for calculations. If you wanted to find, large division problems, like say, thousands divided by 53 or something like that, well, you need a computer to do that too, or you need to use variables too, because you need to actually store those values to do operations on them. Exactly. If you use a calculator, that's exactly what happens. It's like, I can't just like do this when I'm programming. It's like, I can't just say, hey Siri, what's 500 plus 4?
It's 504.
That's not how programming works. That's how like you work with Siri. You have to explicitly tell the computer to store variables. You can't just tell them what to do like a Siri app. So the third thing that we can do is we send information using variables, because like I said, there's like a difference between like how we represent things, how we store it in the computer world. This is exactly that, sending information. If you want to send things over internet connection, database, if you want to look up like the date, a database might like store the current date as a variable, like the 5th of March, and then that will be sent to your computer. It has to be stored as a variable before it can be sent. That's like one of the uses of the variable. So yeah, and the example right there, that's a day-to-day example of how you might use spreadsheet boxes. They're much like variables. They hold values, very important day-to-day use of sort of like variables in your computer.
Yep. And guys, as we're going through this, feel free to share any thoughts, questions, as always, in the chat section, All right. So what do these variables have to do with our main thing, which we started off with today? That being the question which I asked you guys, and you guys shared some awesome responses to the question of, why does it matter to be specific to a computer? Well, as we previously discussed, computers require specific instructions when dealing with those variables. And we have a lesson on Google Classroom, which we will be guiding you through. And before we jump right through the Google Classroom lesson, we actually want to hop on back to the block coding website and show you guys what is representative of a variable. And yeah, so Andrew, if you want to load up the Google Classroom example, I'll go through the block coding example, and then we can disperse from there.
All right.
All right.
Just
so,
like share the screen or.
let me go over the block coding first.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully you guys have had enough time now to open the website and are on the main page. All right. All right. So if everybody is here, let me show you what we actually mean and represent by what those variables are. So over the past week, we hope that you guys have, played around with the website like Ridima said, and other people have done hopefully as well. And hopefully you've noticed these side sections. And one of those sections is variables, what we were talking about today. And we can, through the block coding website, we can create a variable and call it my name. And here is the variable now. We have created the variable right here, which is storing the value. Now, right now it's storing a mathematical value of the number 0. But my name isn't 0. So we can actually change what value the variable stores, like Andrew and I were explaining through different examples. And we can say, hey, variable. The variable's name is my name. Store my name, that being Rayon. So now, if you can make that connection, this variable, my name, is storing a value, which is my name, Rayon. And with this variable, it's essentially like a container of information, right? Just like we made the analogy of it being a box with which you put items into. We can do a bunch of different things with this variable. And one of those operations being a basic printing, whatever the value of that variable is. So say we pull out that print block, we go back to the variable, we drag and drop that variable into that area. And any guesses as to what is going to print? Yeah, Aaron. Yep, he's right. So if you run this real quick.
Hold on, I think you
oh wait, this is just integers and mathematical. Hold up. Oh, these are just int variables. Okay.
Wait, no, I think can you go to like statements? Sorry, just like we just have to fix something real quick.
Oh wait, I think I know why. I forgot the quotation marks.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We just had to do something real quick.
Yeah, so basic syntax, yeah. I forgot that the syntax matters on this block coding as well. So yeah, it looks like we got a lot of responses. Sadan, Shuria, Aaron. My name was printed. So hopefully that puts into perspective of what a variable is, and you know what you're actually coding on the website. And Andrew will now lead a quick activity showing why that order and that specificness matters in relation to variables. So Andrew, I'm going to stop sharing and you can now share.
All right. Let me get that up.
Yep.
So I'm screen share. You're going to have to give me a second. I think it's Host disabled participant screen sharing.
You are a co-host, correct? Let me just make sure so you have
Am I?
There you go. You should have it now.
Okay, yeah, I think I should. Yeah, it's worked now. All right, so can you see my screen very clearly? All right, so let me actually just go into my blocks thing. Wait, do you think I should do with the my blocks or like with the images?
Um, do it to my blocks. I mean, you already got it typed out, right? So if you wanna talk through it.
Okay. So this is a short activity. We're going to talk about how the specificity of coding applies to variables. So we're going to sort of connect these two concepts we've just kind of been talking about, variables and specifics with this activity. So here we go. So if you want to follow along, you can actually look at the notes in the AP class, the Google Classroom with the day 2 notes. I'm actually going to publish it right now. Let me do that real quick. All right, so if you go to Google Classroom, you will have access to those notes. But here is the actual illustration of that. So let's say you wanted to print a variable, like your age. Let's actually do that right now. Let's call a variable, let's call my age. And we will say, let me just find a print variable. And let's say the typical age is, let's say 12, right? And we all know what's going to happen, right? It's going to print 12. Sort of seen that with a name example. Let me like run that. Hold on, I have to exit out of this real quick. Okay, should run. Hold on. This looks correct right now, right?
The images which we have.
No, that we should probably do that like later. I'm just like trying to Oh wait, no, never mind. I just have to type in the name. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, so we run it right now. Hold on, Rand. How did you do it with your?
Okay. Do you want me to share my screen, Andrew?
Wait, hold on. Let me try something real quick.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, now it's working. I don't know what was going on. All right, so yeah, it's printing 12, like we've been saying. So let's actually try something else. Let's try actually printing 2 variables, correct? So let's actually do that right now.
Andrew, we can't see the tab. You want to put it in focus?
Wait, you can't see it?
We can only see the Google Classroom screen.
Oh, okay. Let me do that.
There we go. Yep.
Were you not able to see that at all, or?
Yeah. So now we can. Yeah.
All right. So let me actually just like do that real quick again. So I'm going to actually run it, and we are going to print 12. It's a very basic piece of code. My age is set to 12, and it prints my age. Now, what we're going to do is we are actually going to put 2 variable assignments. So we're going to have my age set to 12. We're also going to have it set to 20. Now, can anybody in the chat try to guess what that is going to print?
It froze.
What?
Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, what do you guys think is going to print? The first value, the second value? Okay, Sharia says it's going to print the second value, that being 20.
Anybody else have
Oh,
an idea?
thinks that it's going to print both values.
Okay, so sorry, what?
Go ahead. I do explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's actually see the result. It prints the second value. Now the reason why that happens is because order matters when you're assigning variables. 12 comes before 20. Not like I don't mean like in order. I mean like if we were to change the order right now. And sure enough, what we'll see is it'll print 12. And this is because order matters. It sets the my age to 12 after it sets my age to 20 in this instance. So this is what we mean by specificity matters in coding and programming in general, computer science. We need to tell the computer specific orders, in this instance, of variables and the order in which it's assigned. Because even if I did this, I'm going to actually put another print statement real quick. You'll see that indeed it prints out 20 and then it prints out 12. So whenever you're ordering your code, or in this case, your blocks, you have to make sure that you have the proper order. You have to be specific about the order of your instructions. So yeah, if you want, you can play around more with the order on your own time. But as for this is my lesson on that. So
all right. You want to stop sharing, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
All right. So just because of the about 10-15 minutes we ran later, we are actually just going to start wrapping it up. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat section. But today's lesson was pretty basic. We learned about variables and how order matters when coding. And for this upcoming week, we want you guys to try some different operations with the variables. Try to see if you can emulate what we did right now, and you can actually do it by yourself. And starting next week, we're going to be going through more different statements and different operations and talking some more terminology and starting more advanced block coding and making some actual, like making a game starting next week, hopefully, at the end of the session for next week. But we can't do that until we have gone through the basic terminology and have got a good foundation. So other than that, we hope that you guys learned something cool and interesting today. We got a quick question, looks like, in the chat. Can I still do the work from the weeks before since I just joined the Google Classroom? Yep, sure. So if you join late, that's totally all right. We encourage you guys to do the work from the Google Classroom. It's just meant to be supplemental material, make you stronger, and, you know, hopefully you're having some fun. Hopefully you're not being forced to do this and actually doing this out of your own will and being entertained while Andrew and I teach you guys some cool stuff, you know. And other than that, we will be starting the JavaScript session in about 10 minutes after this one. So if you guys are interested in that, we have some people who did both last week. So we hope that you guys join us again. And yeah, so hopefully you guys had a good time. Andrew, any other words?
No, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And hope you see you in the JavaScript.
Yep. All right, guys. So take it easy. Join the Google Classroom and have some fun. See ya.